Weird because we're live, 3, 2, 1. I think even when it goes kind of, we're actually videotaping live.
This is very exciting.
And we're just smiling into the camera like, I don't know what. Anyhow, good evening, everyone. How's everyone doing? It is June the 10th, 2020, 6 o'clock p.m. on a beautiful Wednesday evening here in Virginia Beach. And BG, thanks for watching. Anyhow, today we're going to talk about some really exciting things. And here's the lineup. Here's the lineup for all the great things we're going to be talking about. So, of course, we're going to give Virginia Court updates, USCIS updates, and I'm really going to go through our meeting that we had with the field office director on June the 4th. We're going to talk a little bit about the phase 2 opening and the beach rules. And of course, we're going to give you the Newport News new office plug. And most importantly, any questions that you might have this evening for us. So we're happy to be here doing another Facebook Live.
Yeah.
We started on February 19th.
Yes. And we're back in our office today. This is pretty exciting.
Yes, it is exciting. It's a lot quieter here. We had to leave the house because there were 9 cousins in the home, and it's Cousins Day today. We were there last week, and it was Cousins Day. And moments before the Facebook Live started, we had to scream down the stairs and say, "We're getting ready to start, be quiet." And then it went totally quiet, and then we found them outside, sort of just meandering about. Anyhow, all right. John is going to get started with the Virginia Court's updates, and we'll go from there. If you have any questions, pop them into the comments. We will be happy to answer them. I'm going to try to follow them here on my laptop. So if you see the top of my head, that's why. All right. Let her rip.
And if you see the top of my head, it's going to look like a like a cue ball from a pool.
We had no powder. We're not prepared here in the office. But
okay, so here's the situation with the Virginia courts. The update. Not a whole lot has changed from last week. So we'll start with Virginia Beach. The criminal cases that are set in courtrooms 1 and 2 are still taking place as currently scheduled at 8:30, 11, and 2, depending on what time your docketed case was for. So if you have a criminal case in Virginia Beach and it's coming up in the next couple of weeks or tomorrow, it's still going forward as scheduled. So you want to make sure that you're there. Again, only defendants in the case, witnesses, attorneys, people that are directly involved are allowed to be in the courtroom. Other people can go in the courthouse, but if you want to go into the courtroom, then you have to be a party in the case, involved in the case in some manner. And remember, you are going to have a mask to go in. They're going to be asking you some questions when you enter, whether you have any symptoms. In Newport News, they were taking temperatures, so just be prepared for that. Okay?
What was your temperature?
It was perfect.
You don't remember what it was?
It's 98 something.
0.7. Okay, just make sure.
Cases that are set in traffic courtroom C in Virginia Beach are also going forward as currently scheduled, so no continuances there for now. Those cases, you should have an attorney, because if you're in traffic C, that means that you have a DUI pending, in which case you should have a lawyer, and there will be a prosecutor in the case as well. So if you need any dates changed with that, you want to have your attorney reach out to the prosecutor's office and take care of it that way. If you have a case that is in traffic court, that's traffic courtroom A or traffic courtroom B in Virginia Beach, those cases are being continued. Any case that's scheduled to be heard between June 8th and June 30th is being continued. So if you have a case in one of those traffic courtrooms, you don't have to go to court, your case is getting continued, and you're going to get notice from the court. They're going to let you know when your new court date is. So keep checking your mail for that. All right? Norfolk has all of their cases, anything that's set to be heard between now and June 10th is being continued. Wait, today's the 10th, right? So everything up till today has been continued, And I'm still waiting to hear Judge Rosenblum, I don't think has issued a new order yet. I anticipate that they probably are going to continue things out more, and I will double check on that. I apologize. This is the most recent update that the Bar Association sent out, and it's still saying June 10th. So if you have court tomorrow and you're wondering, if I were you, I would plan on being there until you hear otherwise, okay? If I get some more updated information before the end of tonight, we'll post it up on our Facebook page, all right? Virginia Beach Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court. I wanted to mention this because we've been getting some inquiries about this because we just have. This is, cases have been continued. Anything through June 28th has been continued with some exceptions. One is arraignments and bond motions for incarcerated adults. So those cases are still going forward. Detention hearings for juveniles that are detained are also going forward. Abuse and neglect hearings and requests for emergency removal orders and preliminary child protective orders are going forward. And preliminary protective order requests and 2-year protective order hearings are also going forward. So if that's the kind of case that you have, those are going forward. If you have anything else in the Virginia Beach Juvenile and Domestic Relations District Court, those cases are going to be continued. Now, with all of these courts, no matter where you are, the same exceptions that have been there from the beginning still apply, and those are bond hearings, bond appeals, arraignments, requests for emergency protective orders, determination of counsel hearings, and some guilty pleas. So if you have a case like that, you'll want to plan on being there. Otherwise, double check with the court to see what's going on, or check in with me. If you're not my client, I don't mind. I'm still happy to find out whether you have court or not. If you are my client, then I guarantee you'll be hearing from us updates on when your new court date is. All right?
Is that a money-back guarantee?
That is a money-back guarantee, 100%. All right? So
you don't want your money back. Trust me, you want this guy representing you.
So that's where we are with the courts. If you have any questions, it's confusing because every city has its own set of rules. They're all trying to conform with the general rule, the general order that was issued by the Virginia Supreme Court, which runs through June 28th. But the Supreme Court gave each city and county discretion to tweak it and do what was best for them in their jurisdiction. So that's where they are. Okay?
We did have a question from, I believe it was Armando, and he's asking about when do Norfolk courts open. I'm looking here that all non-essential, non-emergency court proceedings in the city of Norfolk are suspended through June 28th. And I'm on the City of Norfolk website right now.
That's the new. The bar did not at 12 o'clock today. That had not happened. I thought the Judge Rosenblum probably had issued a more recent order, and he must have done so. That's great. June 28th, which conforms, by the way, as I said, with the Virginia Supreme Court's rule. All right.
Okay, awesome. Let me check to see if we have any other questions here. No other questions, Armando. Hopefully we've answered that question. If not, shoot us a message if you need more clarification, if you want us to just specifically look up your case or someone else's case that you may be inquiring about. All right, John or the team at the office will be happy to do that for you and for anyone else. We know that it's a really concerning time. There's a lot of uncertainty, and yes, people are concerned. People are freaking out a little bit about their court dates and what's happening. So,
well, what's really unsettling for people, because I've been talking to my own clients, and what's really unsettling for people is that they have either been summoned to come to court, or they were arrested, they were released on a bond, and the last thing the magistrate told them was, you have to be in court on this date, and now they're hearing, oh, you don't need to show up, the court is closed. And I know that people are like, well, I think I'm just going to go down there and double check to make sure the door is actually locked. And if that makes you feel better, then that's fine. But these are the court closures, okay?
So when you've been to court, the past couple of times that you've been to court, this week and last week, are there big signs posted? I mean, are you allowed to go into the courtroom? how are they checking to see if you have a case, if you don't have a case?
You are allowed to go into the courthouse. As I said, you have to be a party to a case to go into the courtroom, but if you want to enter the courthouse, you can, because the clerk's offices are open. So if you're trying to do something that involves just the clerk's office, then you can enter the courthouse as long as you have a mask and you don't have any symptoms or not exhibiting any symptoms. All right?
Okay, and that's where they're taking the temperature, at least in Chesapeake.
In Chesapeake, in Newport News, they were taking temperature.
Oh, sorry, Newport News, yes.
In Virginia Beach, the last time I was there, they were just asking questions when you enter.
All right.
All right.
Excellent. I guess it's my turn.
It's your turn.
Awesome. So I wanted to go over our notes from June the 4th meeting with the field office director in Norfolk, Frank Reffel. He and his team put out a lot of great information. We had an hour-and-a-half meeting through WebEx, I believe it was their platform, and there were probably 52 people on there who were attorneys and people in the community and military folks, congressional liaison folks, so a wide variety of people. And Frank Reffel had his team there. He had Femi, a couple of supervisors, Carolyn and Odette and Ramsey. And I just want to, they're not watching, but I just want to thank the Norfolk team at USCIS. They don't have to do that. They don't have to put information out there. And I know that in some jurisdictions, I'm not going to name any jurisdictions, but they're just crickets. And so they're not letting the community know what's going on with the office opening up. So the USCIS office is opened up officially on June the 4th. Our immigration office is opening up on June 15th for interviews. And you have to, as in the court, you have to wear a mask. Okay. And so it's going to be reopening to the public gradually. Your interview notice, your new interview notice, this is really important, is going to contain some pretty explicit instructions about COVID-19 and coming to that office. So please read over your interview notice very carefully. I know the interview notice has tons of information already, and there's probably going to be even more on it with information on how to proceed with your interview. But one, you have to wear a mask. So if you don't have a mask, then you will be asked to reschedule your interviews. That's a big deal if you've been waiting already for so long. So bring your mask. If you get to the interview and you lost your mask or your mask broke, then the guards are going to look at it on a case-by-case basis to see whether they'll provide a mask to you, but that's definitely not the general rule, and you have to bring your own mask. I tell you that, again, because I don't want you to have your case delayed any more than it already has, and I know everyone out there who is waiting for an interview, and this is specifically for people who are waiting for an interview at the Norfolk Immigration Office, are really, really anxious to get in there and get that interview done. And I don't want you to just get stopped at the door. So be nice to the guards, be nice to everyone. This is tough for everyone. They're gonna have the social distancing, and so you'll have to follow the arrows on the floor. There'll be signage on the walls. And my team and I, Sarah, immigration attorney Sarah, and Dominique and Jackie, we covered this pretty extensively yesterday in a Zoom live meeting. And go check that video out if you want more detail. But I'm gonna just really, for our Facebook Live tonight, just go through it really quickly. But when you go in, you're gonna be asked to use hand sanitizer as you enter in. They're going to have touchless barriers. They're going to have the plastic plexiglass up. And following the officer's instructions is going to be very important. So, everybody's kind of flying by the seat of their pants, and those were exact words used during the field office director meeting. And so, it's going to be kind of a tense situation perhaps, and people don't just follow the instructions and be respectful and just know that this is new for everyone, and just a little bit of grace for everyone involved, I think, will go a long way. So one big thing that I thought was interesting and need to point out, because when we go to our immigration interviews, a lot of times our clients will bring their kids for a couple of reasons. One, they don't have childcare. Two, a kid is great evidence of a bona fide marriage, right? Like, bring the kid, there's the proof. So no children will be allowed unless they have an interview themselves. So please find childcare for your child on your interview day. And if you can't, you're gonna ask to be rescheduled. Again, another delay that you don't want to see happen because you didn't know. Okay, you didn't know that you couldn't bring your child. Again, if your child is an infant, a newborn baby, I think it's going to be a judgment call on the part of the guards. So try to get childcare, but if not, good luck, I guess is the only thing I can say. The Application Support Center, which is on the first floor of the USCIS building in Norfolk, they are not doing biometrics until late June or early July. And one of the reasons is because they've been able to reuse biometrics that they've already captured. So that's been awesome. They haven't had to have folks come in and get reprinted. Of course, this is done all electronically, and they've been able to reuse a lot of the biometrics. So that's awesome. And another thing, and just segueing into oath ceremonies, the first floor, the biometrics office, is being used right now for Norfolk to do swearing ins for people who have had, their oath swearing delayed because of the pandemic. So if you're in this area, you may know for many, many years now, the Norfolk Federal Courthouse, that's where your friends or your family members have had to appear for the oath taking in order to finalize the U.S. citizenship. But the local immigration office now has limited jurisdiction, and they are doing all of them for now. So any N400 cases that have been approved until October 1st of 2020, USCIS in Norfolk is going to be swearing that applicant in once the case is approved. And so this is awesome because at least something is being done, and they're not going to wait until, is the federal court open right now? Yeah, they're not going to wait. They're doing them now. Military folks have already been getting sworn in to become U.S. citizens. They're first, and the process is going to be the first in, first out, meaning the older applications that have been approved and already scheduled, they're going to be sworn in first. So this is super, super important. Just to give you an idea, there are about 1,300 to 1,400 people who need to be sworn in just in Hampton Roads alone. So if you didn't think a lot of immigration was going on here in the Hampton Roads area, you would be wrong about that. A lot of people are waiting to become U.S. citizens and want to register to vote and serve on a jury. That's probably top on their list, right?
Very exciting.
Apply for federal jobs, all of the benefits that come with becoming a U.S. citizen. So they're going to process those, and their goal is to do 216 per week, okay? And that's, I think they said six people at a time. So they're swearing in 6 people at a time. Those 6 people are leaving, another six people are going. They're doing this throughout the day. So our Norfolk office is working really, really super hard to get these done. They know how important it is for people to get sworn in and take that final step. So as I said, July 15th, interviews are going to be starting back up again. The focus with interviews is going to be N400s because we have an election year here. And with regard to your attorney being able to sit with you during that interview. So for an N400, so it's going to be you, the applicant, the officer, and your attorney. That's the max number of people that can be in the immigration room and the immigration officer's office to swear in, to do the N400. And they want to reduce the breath load. So that's kind of the first time that I heard that term. I don't get into super details with the medical stuff and COVID. I haven't for the past couple months, but that's something that they're measuring. And again, all of this hopefully will change based on coronavirus numbers and that people aren't getting ill while this is all happening. So even though they're going to allow maximum 3 people, they still are preferring that the attorney appear telephonically. So we would be in our office or in our home, and we would be calling in and being a part of the interview that way, again, to cut down on the number of people. And they're also not going to be able to guarantee that there's going to be 6 feet in between the client and the attorney. So that's why they are preferring that we call in. With regard to marriage interviews, and this is where it may be a little bit problematic, and hopefully maybe they'll introduce video hearings in the future, but we're not going to be allowed to sit next to our client during that interview. But we will be able to, again, appear telephonically and be able to assist our client in that manner. So we're all just going to have to roll with it and see what happens and hope for the best. I would say that the majority of the people, and this is my observation, I'm sure if I asked my immigration officer colleagues this, most people who go into the immigration office for an interview don't have an attorney. Okay, I think that's crazy, but I'm an immigration lawyer. Of course, I think that's crazy. But that said, there's great value in having an attorney present with you. And I think that's going to be mostly preserved even when we appear telephonically, because we are also hearing what's going on in the interview, and the immigration officer knows that couple is represented. So that's that with regard to the attorney. Let's see here. We already mentioned the children. If there are people who are not involved with your case, again, my clients sometimes like to roll with a lot of people, like to roll with a big family or their support group, and people cheering them on, especially if it's someone doing their naturalization test. So that's no longer allowed. So you've got to go in by yourself, have them wait in the car or whatever, but only the applicant and only the people who are involved in the case. With something like a marriage adjustment, that's going to be the couple, and with a 751 petition, again, that's going to be the couple, or maybe just the applicant if the couple is divorced. So you're really looking at, again, a max number of people of 3 people in the immigration officer's office, and nobody waiting if they're not involved in the case. And speaking of waiting, you're not going to be able to sit. So you have to sit in your car, and you walk in 15 minutes before your interview. So there's going to be a lot of changes here. No chillaxing in the chairs at the immigration office. I kind of made a joke about this a couple of weeks ago, but they did reiterate again for the public to please bring your own blue and black pen. And that's, again, is to cut down on the spread of germs. So no more swiping the U.S. government pens, guys. You're going to have to bring your own pens. Do you remember back in the day, they said U.S. government? Yes. So bring your pen. Let's see here. The top priority of the immigration offices, I'm sure of all of the government agencies, is safety of their team, safety of the public. So all of this is based on that. They talked about congressional liaison inquiries and a new system. We discussed that a little bit more in detail in our video, our live video from yesterday. So check that out, because Dominique, he's also going to talk about processing times. I'm not going to get into that here. The new processing times during this coronavirus. So check that out. Yes, it's my ploy to go make you watch more Gardner and Mendoza videos. That's right. But it does have a lot of information, and check it out. And that is all I have with regard to that field office director meeting. Again, it was an hour and a half, and I just kind of used Sarah's very organized notes, Attorney Lawler, and helped me get through it. But if anybody has any questions right now about that, let me know, and I'll answer them as best as I can right here, right now.
Thank you so much. That's great information.
Thank you, honey.
So while you were presenting
he's a big fan, this guy.
Top fan. We did have a couple of questions come in. Our buddy Steve wanted to know if all he has is a Halloween mask.
No.
Is that going to be
That's not going to work. And that guy's a troublemaker, that Steve DeCastro.
And the answer to that is if your Halloween costume was a doctor, nurse, firefighter, or hazmat specialist, Steve, then you should be fine, okay?
Right.
Wearing your Halloween mask. On a more serious note, somebody did ask, is the U.S. Embassy in the Philippines open. Do we know the answer to that
No,
question?
it's not.
It is not open. Okay.
Not yet.
Well, there you
Not
go.
yet.
All right.
So, and then I that reminds me that Trump's executive order, which is currently banning
Yes.
folks from applying for their immigrant visas right now or coming, is set to expire at the end of June. So we'll give you an update on that. Again, that has had not that huge of an impact due to the fact that everything's closed anyway. So one of our friends of the firm sent in a message and said, "Hey, if you guys didn't already know this, the Mexican embassy in DC is open and they are processing passports right now. So thank you so much for that. We did not know that, and that's good information to have and to know. So if you need a passport, a Mexican passport, go to the DC embassy is open right now, the Mexican embassy in Washington, DC. So thank you so much for that. Any questions, again, please let us know. Answering your questions is fun because it kind of puts us on the spot. You know? Little challenge.
Yeah.
You're
That's
next.
good. Okay. So no other questions. If you have questions, just let us know anytime and we will get to them. So I don't want to...
Before you go into that, I just want to thank everyone for joining and watching and participating and sharing. If you guys like the information and you think it would be helpful for others, please share, please like our page, and please tell your community if you think this information will be valuable to them. But thank you so much. We really appreciate it.
Right. Absolutely. So just briefly, I want to touch on it. I think all of you have probably been following the news yourselves pretty closely, but just wanted to remind everyone that we are now in phase 2 in Virginia, and I wanted to just highlight some of the big changes that occurred. That's since June 2nd is when that happened. So probably the biggest one of all is that the now indoor and outdoor dining and beverage services are available. So at the beginning, you could only sit outside. You can sit inside. There are some rules. Restaurants can only have 50% capacity, no parties of 50 or more, and the tables are supposed to be 6 feet apart. I've seen a couple restaurants that might need to double check with their tape measure, make sure that 6 feet is correct. There's still, and this is really I know this is going to make a lot of people in Hampton Roads sad. I grew up in Northern Ohio, and we didn't really have buffets. That just wasn't a thing. When I moved to Hampton Roads after Radlin and I got married, I discovered that here buffets are a huge
That's pretty
thing.
funny.
And so
Kept mostly alive by Filipinos eating at the buffets.
That's right. They were always confused when I was getting the pizza off the buffet. They'd never seen anyone who picked the pizza, over the crab legs or whatever. And
My parents really only ate Chinese food and Filipino food and fried chicken. So those are 3 Filipino staples.
But in any event, there's no self-service food, so those are still not going forward at this point. Employees have to have face masks. The farmers markets are still open again. Other non-essential businesses can be open with 50% capacity and everyone wearing face masks that work there. Fitness and exercise facilities have reopened. That's really a huge thing. I know a lot of people are excited about that. Members and guests and instructors are supposed to maintain 10 feet apart during activities. And also wearing masks, unless they're doing something that the mask is going to cause a respiratory problem. Personal care and grooming services, salons, for example, are continuing to be open, again with the 50% capacity and the masks. Campgrounds have reopened with some limitations.
Yay, camping!
Indoor shooting ranges, for those of you who are gun enthusiasts, have allowed to reopen as well. The public beaches, and I'm going to talk a little bit more in a minute, are open for more than just exercising and fishing. There are very detailed limits on what the beaches can do, with the exception of the beaches in the city of Virginia Beach. I'm not sure what that's all about, but the city of Virginia Beach beaches are subject to much more relaxed and lenient rules
I think you know what's about
than the other beaches. Yeah, I think we all know what
We all know what this is.
We all know what it's about, but we're not going to talk about that. Recreational and entertainment businesses. These are like concert venues, outdoor sports venues, museums, aquariums, zoos, botanical gardens. All of these are allowed to reopen now as long as they're following the guidelines of decreased capacity, masks, social distancing, and so forth. So that's a big deal. Our neighbors just took their kids to a soccer scrimmage yesterday, and they were really, really excited about that because they have not been able to do that for a long time now.
And they were practicing the social distancing on the field, though.
Indoor and outdoor recreational sports activities are permitted so long as the only contact is incidental to the sport itself, and that when that's not taking place, that there's 10 feet of social distancing. So, violation of any of these rules is still a Class 1 misdemeanor, so being taken seriously. If you are found in violation, it is technically a jailable offense up to 12 months and a fine of maximum of $2,500 or both. Continued restrictions, unfortunately, some things that continue to be closed: indoor theaters, indoor performing arts centers, concert venues, historic. This one particularly is upsetting to me. Historic horse racing facilities are still closed, as are bowling alleys, skating rinks, arcades, and amusement parks. So,
arcades are upsetting to me.
Right.
It's really loving Circuit Social in Norfolk, though. The place is awesome.
So all that stuff is still closed. Individuals may attend religious services subject to certain requirements, and they're about the same: no more than 50%, 6 foot social distancing. You can't pass items to one another, so you can't be passing around anything in the church, and no items can be used to distribute food or beverages unless it's disposable and it's not passed to anyone else. Okay, so, and overnight summer camps are still closed. Sorry. All right. So that's the phase 2, kind of really, really quickly. What I've mostly been getting questions about, not just from neighbors and friends and colleagues, but from just everyone, is the beach. Everybody wants to know. I mean, it's summer, right? Everybody wants to know. So
That's what we do here, is go to the beach.
What exactly can I do at the beach? So here are, in Virginia Beach, in the city of Virginia Beach, here are the acceptable activities. My favorite: resting, sunbathing, walking, exercising, swimming or bathing, fishing, surfing, board and paddle sports, and individual and family play. Remember, if you're fishing, you still have to, adhere to the other rules regarding a fishing license. All right. Here are the prohibited activities: group sports like volleyball, football, or frisbee. Speakers are prohibited. Not sure what that has to do with COVID-19. Large coolers are prohibited. Again, not sure what that has to do with COVID-19. Alcohol is prohibited.
I thought it always was.
It always was. That's why I'm not sure what these have to do with COVID-19, but they're in the COVID-19 distancing. Tents and groupings of umbrellas are prohibited, and fishing on sand beaches in the resort area are prohibited. All right?
Like oceanfront.
Right, exactly. The parking garages and the surface lots will be limited to 50% capacity. There's no entertainment or programming allowed that will generate a mass gathering, and beach play sets will remain closed. All right. So that's the situation with the beaches. As you can see, you can do pretty much anything. Just don't take a cooler full of beer and your Sonos speaker, and you'll be fine.
Or
all right?
a cooler full of Punset and egg rolls. No, a big cooler. You can do a small cooler of Punset and egg rolls, but there's no such thing as a small cooler of Punset and egg rolls. All right, we have a couple of questions here. Audie, what's going on? Audie and Nate, Autumn and Nate are very good friends.
Yes, hey
She
guys.
says, or he says, if you started the process, they share an account, these two, husband and wife. Anyway, all right. If you started the process before the coronavirus, how long do you think it'll take to process immigration office to start in the Philippines. So, if you can tell me what process we're talking about. I mean, if we're talking about, well, I'll just say, if we're talking about a, okay, you started the process. If you talked about filing the I-130 petition and you filed that before coronavirus, the I-130 petition right now for a case that's going to be processed abroad, like in the Philippines, consular processing, that petition first has to get approved by one of the service centers. So you file that I-130 petition. Let's say you filed in February. It's February, March, April, May, June. 4 months later, that petition still probably has another 4 months of processing time. So nothing really has changed. Okay, citizenship for a child to come to the United States. It really depends on when the U.S. Embassy opens for that. That process should not really take that long. I'm so glad you sent me that text, that chat, because I was going to go down a consular processing, very long road that nobody wants to hear about unless you actually are in that process. So
that's why I had a look of panic on my face. No, I'm kidding.
There's going to be a lot of nodding. Okay, so citizenship for a child to come to the United States. I'm still wondering, is the person who is filing for the child is a person a U.S. citizen, or is this a child who has acquired citizenship from the parent? It really depends. So if it's the first that I talked about, where the parent is a U.S. citizen, the child is not and cannot derive citizenship from the parent, and they may, or if the petitioning parent is a lawful permanent resident of the United States, then yes, it can take some time before that I-130 petition for alien relative gets approved. So if they filed it in February, it's still going to be processing right now. So parents of U.S. The parents are U.S. citizens. So a couple of things here. One, that child could very well get the citizenship from the parent. So that's something to look into. And I'll be happy to talk to your friends about this. So they may not have to file the I-130 petition and go through that whole process. That process, in my estimation right now, is taking about probably 12 to 15 months, and that could really change over the next few months as we see how COVID-19 has really impacted USCIS and its operation. So let me know. It's very much a detailed answer with regard to that, but if that child is a U.S. citizen, then they may be able to get U.S. citizen services, even though the U.S. Embassy is closed. So reach out to me. Mm-hmm. Reach out to me.
And we love you too, by the way.
We love you too. Yeah, we love you. All right. So next question is, it's really a statement from Carmen. She says, I really wish to have my citizen's exam, but was canceled by COVID-19. If you're talking about in Norfolk, rest assured that is going to be rescheduled really soon, hopefully for you. You should be getting an interview notice really soon in the next few weeks, hopefully. And I hope you've been studying for the past 3 months. And then the other thing is that, you may get a sooner oath swearing in than you would have through the court. So I will throw out there that the Norfolk office is considering same-day swear-ins based on circumstances. They haven't said, yes, we're going to do that yet, but if you go in there and, I'll give you an example. I think it was 1999. And my mom went in for her U.S. Citizenship exam, her N400 application exam. She passed it, and she said, hey, I'm going to go visit my sister in the Philippines who's sick, and they swore her in that same day. And they stopped doing that a really long time ago, but they are going to entertain doing that again. That was mentioned at the meeting. So maybe if the circumstances are right for you, Carmen, then they would do that for you. But again, like I said in my mom's case, her sister was elderly and ill, and that's why she needed to travel to the Philippines. Now, just want to mention that's the only citizenship case that I regret helping with, because after my mom became a citizen, she pretty much moved permanently to the Philippines, which you can do and not get penalized. So
and the sister that we're discussing, I had a big plate of what I thought was macaroni and cheese at her house, and it was actually palabok.
Pancit palabok, yeah, that was a shocker to John.
That was quite a shock to me.
He almost did not marry me. Were we married?
We were married.
Okay, he almost divorced me. He was. This is the first time he had ever gone to the Philippines, and I think he was starving the whole time because, maybe you just weren't fond of the food at that meet. You love Filipino food now, maybe a little too much, but he was like so excited because my aunt, Auntie Masing, she brought out this giant, I mean, it was huge.
Yeah.
It was like this big around.
And I thought to myself, oh, finally, something I can really fill up on, macaroni and cheese.
For those of you who have had pancit palabok is shockingly not anything like mac and cheese.
It just looks like mac and cheese.
And he really put way too much on his plate, and then he had to eat it, of course, because he's very polite, especially towards family members, and did not want to hurt their feelings. But it's basically a noodle dish, and it's made out of shrimp head, basically shrimp head juice. and you know what's sprinkled on top of it? Pork rinds, ground up pork rinds, because of course, Filipinos have to add pork into every dish. All right. Do we have anything else?
Now, the only other thing I wanted to very briefly mention to everyone is that if you saw the stuff, if you have kids and you saw the stuff about the schools, it's all very complicated, all the different phases, and nobody really knows for sure. But the takeaway at this point, I think generally, is that if things go as we think they're going to go at this point, it looks like probably the schools will be reopened in the fall, but with staggered schedules. I think we'll probably see something like some grades going to school certain days of the week, and then doing, tele-learning the other days, and then the next grade going a couple days. So if you're wondering what's going to happen, that's probably it. Expect that your kids will probably be in the school a few days a week and at home a few days of the week. But we'll keep you posted on that, of course, as that story develops, that issue develops. All right?
All right. So
another question.
Let's see here. Chase. Hi, Chase. How you doing? May I ask how many months does 45 EB3 take to process? Also, will the processing time be longer due to the 3-month USCIS office shutdown? I heard that the offices still continue processing 485 application during the past 3 months. That is correct. They have been processing 485s, and I have not checked the visa bulletin. I can pop that up real quick here. I don't think it's current. I think we talked about this last Wednesday, but they are, let's see here. It sounds like maybe you filed when it was current and then became, and then it retrogressed. Am I right about that, Chase? Let's see here. Employment base. So, yes, and worldwide. It's not current right now. So what typically happens is it's not going to be a priority for USCIS to process those 45s if the visa bulletin is not current for the case. So it's an unsatisfactory answer of we just have to wait for that to be current. And usually when the 485 becomes current, then it does then turn into top priority for the local USCIS office or whoever is processing to process that as quickly as possible so they can get it done during the month when it's current, right? So another really important point about the meeting is that from June the 4th, they said that they are waiving interviews for employment-based cases, which is awesome because they were doing interviews for employment-based cases, and they're waiving those now. So that's great. Let's see here. Have not filed. Okay, so Chase hasn't filed. Yeah, Chase, it really depends on visa bulletin, whether it's current. But just processing times generally, the last time I checked, it was over a year to process EB-345. So I'll double check that for you and shoot you a message just to make sure I'm not telling you the wrong information.
And we had one above that as well that came in while you were answering that.
Okay, so Ruby's asking, thank you guys for the questions. We love questions because it gives us something to talk about other than our standard stuff, and they're also helpful to everyone. All right, let's see here. Is this it right here? Ruby says, hello, my 751 form was received on May 20th, and online they said they sent me a note, but I did not receive anything yet. So it's June the 10th. That should be coming to you soon. If you don't receive anything within 30 to 45 days, I would reach out to the customer care center, the 1-800 number. But when you say they sent you a note, if it's a request for evidence, then you definitely want to be on the lookout for that and respond to that for sure.
Absolutely.
Usually, if they say they sent you something, it is a request for evidence and they're asking for more evidence in your case. So in the case of a 755, for those of you who are still with us, this is for people who have the 2-year green card and they are filing the 751 to remove the conditions on their green card, the lawful permanent residence, so they can get the 10-year card. So usually if a note is sent in, it's going to say request for evidence. It would be awesome if you checked back and looked at the case status. It's going to say request for evidence. And most people, they say there's no request, there's just a receipt. Oh, you just filed it on May 20th. Okay. Really quick, let me just address what I was just talking about before. Most people who file most self-filers who file the 751, you all don't put enough information in there. Okay, you don't put enough information. They want proof of your marriage, and you send the marriage certificate and some pictures and a couple of bills. To give you an idea, we probably send 500 pages to 700 pages of our clients' documents. So you really need to bulk up that application because they want to see bona fide marriage evidence from the time that you got married to the time that you have filed. So you're talking about 2+ years potentially. All right, so Miss Ruby, basically you are going to get your receipt in the mail, your I-751 receipt. That's great news. It's coming to you. And you say that your green card is going to expire on June 13th. What should you do now? When you get that receipt, which is again, it's going to be coming to you very soon, that receipt notice is going to Ruby says she sent 70 pictures. Hopefully you sent 24 months of bank account statements as well. But so that receipt is going to say, hey Ruby, we received your I-751 petition and the filing fee. Here's the receipt notice. Here's to show that you paid. There's the amount of money that you paid. And also let this receipt notice serve as an extension of your lawful permanent resident status, your green card, for 18 months. So you will be good to go. Just make sure you read that carefully and make sure that it does say that. They are extending, that letter automatically extend your lawful permanent resident card for 18 months. So you should be good to go. Take that in, renew your driver's license. If you're working, ask for re-verification, which this is a completely different topic. They shouldn't, but that will cover you. All right, let's see here. Oops, sorry. Okay, no request for evidence. That's good.
Somebody asked about something expiring. Green card will expire on June 13th.
Yeah, that was Ruby.
Yep, same person. Okay.
Yep. Okay, I think we have. Ruby also asked, to apply for citizenship, do you have to have an attorney? No, for all immigration processes, you do not have to have an immigration attorney to help you with the process. I highly recommend it. I highly recommend that you do have an immigration attorney to help you with this process, especially now with regard to your attorney, your immigration attorney, is going to be there every step of the way for you. So with these cases, for example, with the 751 taking potentially 18 months, you want someone there for you. You want an advocate. If it falls outside of the processing times, you want them to be able to call and inquire and be an advocate for you. When you file the 751, you want that attorney to make sure that he or she puts in every single thing that they possibly can so that your case gets approved without a request for evidence. So while it is not required to have an attorney, I am completely biased, of course, but I highly recommend that you hire an immigration attorney who is reputable. And even if you don't hire our firm, go hire the firm that you like, but it's completely worth it. This is a case, it's your life, it's your immigration journey. You probably, if you're filing for citizenship, you probably started this journey, 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and think about all that you had to do in order to stand in the lawful permanent resident status, and now you're applying for citizenship. So yes, I recommend, but it's not required.
As my father used to tell me when we would do carpentry together, he always said, John, measure twice, cut once.
Yes, great advice from the old pops.
And that's what it is with immigration as well. You really want to get it right the first time, and having an attorney can really, really help that.
Yes. And so related to that, we do get this question a lot. So if I have a lawyer, immigration lawyer, will my case move faster through the process? And the answer is, just because I stamp my name on something, or just because we stamp our attorneys' names and law firm name, doesn't automatically mean like, okay, this Gardner Mendez, put it in the fast pile. I wish I could say that, right? We'd have all the clients, but I can't say that is what happens. No, lawyer cases do not go in a fast line. But what does make it faster is we don't make the mistakes that self-filers make, because we've been doing it for 20 plus years. Right. So that is the big difference. And I think that one of the things that our clients really appreciate, and again, I'm not trying to toot, it's just realistic, is that we're there for them. We just give them a lot of peace of mind and get their case done right. It was so awesome to see some clients, they came by to get their green cards, and their green cards were approved. I mean, I put it on Facebook and I got some messages like, does that mean my case is going to be, their green card cases were approved in 3.5 months during this pandemic. And their interviews were waived because they're the parents of a U.S. citizen. And it was amazing. Like, I'm the rock star there, They brought in chocolates and they just were so thrilled. Who wouldn't be with their case? You thought the case was going to be 8 months, but it only took 3.5, or 9 to 12 months, and only took 3.5. So does that have to do with our law firm because our name is on the paperwork? No, but it does have to do with the fact that we made no mistakes in that case. We made no mistakes in that case, and that case was filed and it was turned around, because right now they're not doing interviews for these types of cases. So yeah. And Rena, yes, she's anxiously waiting now. Rena, fingers crossed, we're gonna get that case finished up for you, and that you are going to get that oath swearing in soon. It's gonna be in Norfolk, the same place we were, and I'm super, super pumped up for you, because that's gonna happen really soon.
Yeah, it's really all about just not making the bazillion possible missteps that are out there to make. And if you're self-filing, you haven't done it. And so understandably, you're going to, fall into traps that you don't even know are there, that we can see coming.
Right. And I think some of the people who we've helped in the past, they're watching, I think that they would agree that having an attorney by your side who you have confidence in, who is friendly, is helpful.
She's very friendly.
I'm so friendly, yeah.
And smart, really smart. Okay.
Miss Deanna, she says, I know I aggravated you to death and you were always the best. I wouldn't trust anyone else but your office. Aw, thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Great to hear
All right, guys, it has been an amazing Facebook Live tonight. I love all these great questions.
Absolutely.
John and I are going to go have dinner now. John and I are on the Whole30, and our lives are pretty much miserable. We're trying to figure out a food allergy. And Rena says it makes a world of a difference to have an attorney with you. And Rena, thank you so much. And I'm waiting for the invitation to the party. Okay, after you swear in. By then, the Whole30 is going to be over. I'll be able to eat whatever I want. But tonight, what's it going to be? A salad with an egg on it or something?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, we love to eat, and this is pretty rough. Anyhow, we really appreciate you.
Yep.
We appreciate you
really
so
do.
much. If you need anything from us, shoot us a message or email us at info@gmlaw.net, info@gmlaw.net. You can call our office, of course, at 757-464-9224. We're extremely responsive, especially on our emails and our messenger and our calls as well. So we really, really appreciate you guys. Thank you
and
for...
remember, our standing offer is always that if you have any questions, even if it's not a legal question, but you think we may know the answer or be able to point you in the right direction, reach out to us, and we would love to try to help you. Okay?
All right, double thumbs up. We lost the remote control, so I have to reach over and hit the finish button.
Have a good night, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.